Fallout 4 has been out for a long time now, but you know what keeps dragging people back in? The settlements. There's just something about scrapping junk, rebuilding, and making the Commonwealth your own that never really gets old. Of course, not every settlement spot is equal. Some are fan favorites, some are kind of forgotten, and a few honestly need mods before they're even worth touching. But that's part of what makes this system so fun. There's always a new place to mess around with. So in this video, I'm breaking down my top 10 favorite settlements to build on. Not just for the layout and resources, but also for the stories and cool builds you can pull off there. So hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification button. Don't forget to break out your favorite Nuka-Cola. And let's get started. Kicking off the list at number 10, we've got Sanctuary Hills. And honestly, how could it not make this list? This is where everything begins. It's the neighborhood you walk through in the game's intro. It's where Nate and Nora's house is. Heck, Codsworth is still wandering around outside, so Sanctuary Hills is Fallout 4's emotional starting point. Now, from a settlement perspective, Sanctuary has a lot going for it. First off, it's huge. This is one of the biggest settlement areas in the game, which means you can get really creative with your builds. There's plenty of room to experiment, whether you're building a fortified city, a clean suburban neighborhood, or just going crazy with mods to turn it into something totally new. The pre-built houses are a bit of a mixed bag though. On the one hand, it gave Sanctuary that iconic suburban ruins vibe. Bunch of half-destroyed homes that remind you of what was once lost when the bombs fell. But on the other hand, those ruined shells can get in the way if you're someone who likes to start with a blank canvas. That's where scrapping mods come in handy, because being able to clear the place down to bare dirt really opens it up for some totally massive projects. Lore-wise, Sanctuary is also interesting, because it's this little slice of pre-war America frozen in time. You can find cribs, toys, furniture, pretty much anything that shows how eerie of a normal life is still here, but it's rotting away. And if you poke around, you'll notice small storytelling details, like how your neighbors' homes are set up, or how the cars are abandoned mid-route. It's basically Fallout 4's way of saying, this is what you lost, and this is why you're fighting to rebuild. Now, why is it only number 10 and not higher? Well, I do love Sanctuary, but it's really a default settlement. Almost everyone ends up building here, and I feel it's a little too easy to do. The layout's wide open, but also a little flat and boring compared to some of the more unique spots later on we address in the list. Plus, without mods, you're always dealing with those ruined houses cluttering up your vision. That being said, Sanctuary is still a solid place to build, especially if you're new to settlement building. It's forgiving, it's iconic, and it gives you plenty of room to learn the mechanics before moving on to crazier locations. For veterans, it's more of a nostalgic build spot, the kind of place you come back to when you want to start fresh and see how your style has changed over the years. So yeah, it starts off the list. Sanctuary's big, it's nostalgic, and it has history. It's the perfect reminder that Fallout 4's settlement system is about rebuilding from nothing. Coming in at number 9, we've got Abernathy Farm. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the more underrated settlement spots in Fallout 4, but it's also one of the most realistic feeling ones. When you first show up here, you meet Blake Abernathy and his daughter Lucy, who are trying to survive after losing a family member to raiders. Right away you can tell this isn't just another generic settlement, it's got a story, it's got heart, and it feels like an actual farm that people would be trying to keep alive in a post-apocalyptic world. From a settlement building standpoint, Abernathy Farm has a lot going for it. First off, it's already producing food. You've got potato plants in the ground from the start, as well as watermelons in the back, and Lucy will happily work them for you if you recruit the family into the Minutemen. That makes this one of the easier settlements to get up and running quickly. You don't have to scramble for food right away like you have to do with a lot of other locations. The layout is another big plus for me. Abernathy Farm is one of the flattest settlement zones in the game. That flat ground makes building way less of a headache compared to the uneven terrain at places like Kingsport Lighthouse, or, as we all know, Red Rocket. If you're into big, sprawling bases or neatly organized farms, Abernathy gives you a clean slate to work with. But here's the catch: water. Abernathy Farm doesn't have any real water sources built into the settlement. No rivers or lakes, nothing. If you're playing without mods, that means you're stuck trying to cram in a bunch of pumps, which can look kinda awkward if you're trying to build a believable farm. With mods, however, you can fix that by adding wells or expanding water options, but vanilla players are definitely going to hit a ceiling with how self-sufficient this settlement can feel. Lore-wise, Abernathy Farm also adds some interesting texture to the Commonwealth. The Abernathys are trying to hold on to this vision of a pre-war life, farming, family, and just getting by, even when the world around them is collapsing. You've got a family tragedy baked into the story, raiders threatening them, and the fact that they're still standing is a testament to how resilient people can be in Fallout's world. It's little settlements like this that make the Commonwealth feel alive, instead of just being a wasteland full of ruins. So why is Abernathy Farm only number 9 for me? I mean, it's big and flat and has a great early food advantage, but the lack of natural water really holds it back from being top tier. Without mods, you'll spend a lot of time fiddling with pumps and it never feels quite as efficient as it could be. It's a solid farm and a great roleplay spot, but mechanically it can feel a little underpowered. That being said, Abernathy Farm is still a fun place to build if you want that classic farmstead survivor vibe. With enough imagination and maybe a few mods, you can turn it into a thriving agricultural hub in the wasteland. Coming in at number 8, we've got Sunshine Tidings Co-op. Now this one's a little bit different from the other settlements we talked about because it already has its own history baked right into it. Pre-war, Sunshine Tidings was basically a hippie commune, a kind of co-op living space where people tried to create a self-sustaining back-to-the-land lifestyle. When you roll up in Fallout 4, what you see is the shell of that idea, with a bunch of cabins, a central lodge, and little hints of what life used to be like before the bombs. Lore-wise, this location is fascinating because it's one of the few places where you can really imagine what people were doing in the pre-war years outside of the big cities. It wasn't all just military bases and vaults. Some folks were trying to live simple, sustainable lives. And in a darkly ironic way, that makes Sunshine Tidings one of the more fitting spots to rebuild in Fallout 4. From a settlement perspective, Sunshine Tidings is both a blessing and a curse. The good news is that it's huge. You got a wide open area to work with, and pre-built cabins means you don't have to start totally from scratch. There are also a few farm points set up already, so you're not completely empty-handed when it comes to food. If you like the idea of transforming existing structures instead of clearing the land, Sunshine Tidings is the place for you. But there are some downsides. Like Abernathy, water is a problem here. There's no natural water source inside the settlement, so unless you're running mods that adds wells or expands buildable water options, you're stuck with pumps again. In a big spread out settlement like Sunshine Tidings, that can feel a little awkward. Another issue is that the pre-built layout doesn't always cooperate with your building plans. These cabins can be charming, but some are oddly placed, which can limit how you want to expand without mods or place everywhere. Still, for you modders out there, this place is a dream. You can strip it all down, flatten it out, and turn Sunshine Tidings into anything from a thriving farm collective to a fortified wasteland town. Even vanilla, though, there's just something fun about taking this old co-op and making it a true community again. So why does Sunshine Tidings land at number 8? Well, I mean, it's got the size and the history. It's also got the quirky commune and the wasteland vibe I personally like. But it's definitely not without its challenges. The lack of water and sometimes awkward layout can keep it from climbing higher. But if you're a creative builder, and if you're using mods, this place can really shine. Sliding in at number 7, we've got Green Top Nursery. This settlement doesn't always get as much attention as big-name spots like Sanctuary or Spectacle Island, but honestly, it's a sleeper hit if you know what to do with it. First off, from a gameplay perspective, Greentop actually gives you a decent head start. It's a pretty large area, with mute fruit already planted and a few water sources set up, which makes it easier to stabilize early on. Food isn't a problem here, and you can usually get settlers working the crops right away. This makes it one of the more forgiving settlements compared to spots that start as a total blank slate. But water, like with a lot of settlements, can still be a bit tricky. You can get some pumps in place, sure, but you're going to run into sustainability issues if you're trying to scale this up into a big settlement without mods. The build limit is also something you'll bump into if you really want to turn this into a showcase project. Lore-wise, Greentop is kind of interesting. It used to be a pre-war nursery, and even in Fallout 4, you get that vibe. A place where plants and crops were being grown, maybe for a local community or for trade. That makes it one of the more thematically fitting settlement spots. You're not forcing farming onto a location that doesn't make sense. Greentop was already about growing things. All you're really doing as the player is picking up where the world left off. Now here's where Greentop really shines. If you're running mods, you can completely reimagine this place. The relatively flat terrain makes it a great candidate for massive builds, and I've even used it myself for a big player mansion project. With scrapping mods in place everywhere, you can wipe it down, flatten it out, and create something that creates like true settlement masterpiece. It's big enough to house a large population or act as your personal home base without feeling cramped. For vanilla players, it's still solid. It won't blow your mind with unique terrain or crazy lore, but it's functional, it's thematic, and it's big enough to let you stretch your creative muscles. It's one of those settlements that rewards you the more time and imagination you're willing to invest in it. So why is Greentop Nursery sitting here at number 7? Well, it's big, it's practical, and has a solid pre-war backstory, but it doesn't have the same wow factor or unique challenges that push some of the higher ranked settlements further up on this list. Still, for builders, and especially modders, Greentop is a blank canvas with a ton of potential. At number 6, we got Warwick Homestead, one of the more unique settlements in Fallout 4, both in terms of lore and gameplay. Unlike a lot of settlement spots that are basically just ruined areas waiting for you to show up, Warwick is already a functioning farm when you first find it. There are crops growing, people working, and overall, feels like a real community before you even get involved. One of the first things that makes Warwick stand out is its location. It's down in the southern part of the map, right on the coast, which immediately gives you access to a reliable water supply. That's something a lot of settlements struggle with, so having a natural water source here makes things much easier when you're trying to grow the population and sustain everyone. It also has a little bit of built-in protection thanks to the Atom Cats, who hang out at the garage nearby. Lore-wise, the Atom Cats are basically the coolest greaser power armor gang you'll ever meet, and while they're not officially defending Warwick, having them next door does add a sense of safety and community that you don't get in most settlements. Now, one thing that makes Warwick Homestead different is that you don't get it as a settlement right away. You actually need to do a quest called Building a Better Crop, which ties directly into the Institute. The Institute is experimenting with genetically modified crops, and Warwick is their testing ground. To unlock the settlement, you either have to support the Institute's project or find a way to sabotage it depending on which faction you're siding with. That makes Warwick one of the few settlements in the game that's actually locked behind faction-related content. It's a little extra work, but it definitely adds some flavor to finally earning it. As for drawbacks, Warwick Homestead isn't all that big. The build area is kind of cramped compared to sprawling settlements like Sanctuary or Sunshine Tidings Co-op. You definitely can make a functional base here, but you'll run into space limitations if you're trying to do something really ambitious. For vanilla players, That means Warwick is best suited as a farming hub, or a smaller scale community. For modders though, Warwick opens up in some really fun ways. With place everywhere, as well as scrapping mods, you can clear out more space, flatten areas, and really lean into that coastal vibe. I've seen people turn it into everything from a fortified fishing village to a sleek Institute-style research outpost. Either way, it fits perfectly with its lore. So why is Warwick Homestead sitting at number 6? Well, it's got great lore, reliable water, and a head start with crops and community. But in my opinion, it loses some points for its small size. Still, the quest line to unlock it, and its ties to the Institute make it one of the more memorable settlements in the game. Sitting at number 5, we've got the Castle, also known as the Boston Armory. And if you've spent any time with the Minutemen questline, you already know why this place is so special. Lore-wise, this was the Minutemen's old stronghold before the group fell apart. Taking it back is one of the big moments of the story and instantly gives you the sense of rebuilding a lost legacy. You're not just claiming another settlement, you're restoring the Minutemen to their rightful home. From a settlement building perspective, it's both incredibly rewarding as well as a little limiting. The good news is the layout is almost tailor-made for defense. With those thick stone walls and only 2 main ways in, it's one of the easiest settlements in the game to lock down against raiders or super mutants. You don't have to worry about sprawling borders or crazy choke points. You could just focus your defenses at the gates and feel safe and sound. The castle also has a huge bonus most people overlook. It's got a fresh water source built right in. There's a little pond in the middle of the courtyard that you can put industrial water purifiers down, as well as the water back outside, which means the castle can sustain itself easily. Pair that with the open courtyard space where you can set up all the crops you want, and suddenly you've got a fully functioning stronghold with food, water, and defenses ready to go. The downsides? Well, it's kinda obvious. The castle isn't huge. The walls box you in, and the build space inside is definitely more cramped compared to sprawling settlements like Abernathy, Sanctuary, or the others we went over. If you're a vanilla player, you may feel a little restricted trying to cram everything in, especially if you want living quarters, farming space, and pretty much anything else. But that's where mods can really help. With scrapping mods, you can clear out a lot of the rubble inside, flatten things out, and give yourself more usable room. Place everywhere can also help if you want to stack structures creatively inside or outside the walls. Another fun wrinkle is the lore around retaking the castle itself. If you played through that quest, you know you have to fight off a massive Mirelurk Queen to secure it. That battle sticks with people. It makes the castle feel earned, not just handed to you. When you build here, you're literally standing on the bones of one of Fallout 4's most memorable fights. So why is the castle sitting at number 5? It's not the biggest and can feel a little claustrophobic for ambitious builders. But its combination of history, built-in defenses, and that fresh water source make it one of the most rewarding settlements in the game. For role players, it's the ultimate Minuteman headquarters. For builders, it's a challenge to see how creative you can get inside those walls. Either way you look at it, the castle, in my opinion, earns its spot in the top 5. Coming in at number 4, we've got the Slog. And if you guys have spent any time in Fallout 4 whatsoever, you know this isn't your average settlement. The Slog is the only ghoul-run settlement in Fallout 4, and that alone makes it stand out. These settlers aren't just scraping by. They're building a community in a world that usually rejects them. The story here is all about resilience. The ghouls at the Slog were tired of being treated like outcasts, so they decided to create a place of their own where they could live in peace. What makes it even more interesting is in the pool in the middle of the settlement. Pre-war, this was a swimming pool, but post-war, the ghouls turned it into their very own tarberry farm. It's a rare and valuable crop, and it gives them an identity beyond just survivors. They're farmers, traders, and builders of something new. From a building perspective, it's a kind of a mixed bag, let's be honest. On the plus side, you've got a decent amount of space, and the pool gives you an immediate water advantage. You can tap into that resource to keep your settlers happy and supplied. It's also got crops set up, so like Abernathy Farm, you're not starting from zero. The challenges? Well, the terrain kinda sucks, it's a little awkward, and the pool takes up a big chunk of the build area. And depending on how you want to design the settlement, it can feel like it's in the way. For vanilla players, that means you'll have to work around it. But for modders, it's actually a great opportunity. With scrapping mods, you can clear out the clutter and reshape the space. Using place everywhere, you can create amazing build structures that incorporate the pool instead of being blocked by it. Lore-wise, the Slog is also a great roleplay spot. If you're siding with the Minutemen, this is one of those settlements that really sells the idea of rebuilding the Commonwealth for everyone, not just those normal humans. Protecting the Slog feels good because these ghouls are some of the most vulnerable people in Fallout 4, and they're just trying to make a life despite all the prejudice stacked against them. So why did I put the Slog at number 4? It's got a unique story, built-in resources, and is the only tarberry farm in the game. The pool can be a bit of a building challenge, but it's also what makes the Slog so special. For vanilla players, it's a fun test of creativity, and for modders, it's a chance to transform one of Fallout 4's quirkiest settlements into something truly impressive. Coming in at number 3, we've got the Nuka World Red Rocket. If you've played the Nuka World DLC, you know exactly why this spot ranks so high for me. It's one of the biggest, most wide-open settlement locations in all of Fallout 4, and it's practically begging you to go wild with your imagination. Lore-wise, there's not a ton of story here compared to places, like the castle or the Slog, but it's basically a pre-World Red Rocket gas station that happened to be sitting on the edge of Nuka World. To me, that's kind of cool because that's part of the appeal. Because it's not tied down with a bunch of existing structures or heavy lore, it feels like a blank canvas. You get to decide what this place is going to be. From a building perspective, it's absolutely incredible. The space you get here is massive, easily one of the largest buildable areas in the entire game. The terrain is mostly flat, which I personally like, and that makes construction a lot less frustrating. Plus, you don't have to fight with awkward elevation or random clutter like pretty much everywhere else in the game. Vanilla players can do a lot here without any mods. And as for you modders, it's basically a dream. With various mods, you can turn it into a full-blown city, an industrial hub, or whatever massive project you've been itching to try. Water is one of the few quirks you will have to manage, though. There isn't a natural body of water like you would get at the other ones, but that's okay. You may be stuck relying on pumps or mods to sustain it, but there's so much space here it's not really a deal breaker. You can work water production into your layout without too much hassle. Another fun thing about this location is its role in the late game. By the time you're unlocking the Nuka World Red Rocket, you've already proven yourself as a builder and a survivor. It feels like the game is saying, alright, here's your ultimate playground, now show us what you can do. And it's positioned right next to the DLC content, which means it's a perfect staging ground if you want a lore-friendly HQ for dealing with raiders, exploring the park, or just role-playing as the new boss of Nuka World. So why is Nuka World Red Rocket sitting at number 3? Because it combines sheer size, freedom, and late-game bragging rights. Granted, it's not heavily dripping in lore, but that's okay, it doesn't have to. This is a settlement where you can build your masterpiece. Vanilla players will enjoy the space and simplicity, while modders can lose themselves for hours creating whatever crazy vision they have been sitting on. Sitting at number 2 is Longfellow's Cabin from the Far Harbor DLC. And let me tell you guys, this place is all about the vibe. Unlike some of the more blank canvas style settlements, Longfellow's Cabin comes with a lot of character baked in, both from the location itself as well as from old Longfellow. the grumpy but lovable guide who helps you navigate the island. Lore-wise, this cabin feels like it belongs to a real-life person. This isn't just some abandoned pre-war ruin you happen to claim. This is Longfellow's home, his retreat, his safe haven against the fog that creeps across Far Harbor. When you first unlock it by befriending him, it feels earned, like you've gained the trust of someone who's been hardened by the island and is passing on his piece of it to you. That's a lot more personal than just flipping on a generator or clearing out some raiders, at least in my opinion. From a settlement building perspective, Longfellow's cabin is deceptively good. It's not the biggest settlement in the game, but it gives you enough space to do something meaningful. You've got the cabin itself as a centerpiece, which you can either preserve for its rustic charm or scrap and replace if you want to modernize. There's also enough flat land around it to set up crops, defenses, and even a respectable little community if you want to lean into the survivalist roleplay. One of the things that makes Longfellow's cabin so appealing to me is by far its setting. It's gorgeous. It's perched on the edge of the island, giving you an amazing ocean view on one side that the eerie Far Harbor fog creeping in on the other. It's got both. I love it. It feels isolated, but in a good way, like a true survivalist retreat. For vanilla players, it's one of the most atmospheric places to build. For modders, the potential is even bigger. I've seen people turn Longfellow's cabin into fortified bunkers, seaside mansions, and even once I saw a massive fishing village, and I really need to find those mods. But of course, there are some limitations. The build area isn't massive, so if you're looking to create a sprawling city, this is not the place. But I like it, because that's also part of its charm. Longfellow's cabin works best when you play into its strengths. A cozy, atmospheric settlement that feels like a personal home base rather than a capital of the Commonwealth. So why does it rank so high at number 2 for me? Well, for me, in this case, it's not about the size or resources. It's the atmosphere, it's the story, and really, for me, it's a sense of belonging that most settlements just don't have. It feels like a reward, and it's one of the most memorable places you can build in Fallout 4. And finally, my number 1 pick is Spectacle Island, the crown jewel of Fallout 4's settlement system. If you've ever wanted total freedom as a builder, well, this is it, guys. Nothing else in the game even comes close, in my opinion. Lore-wise, Spectacle Island already has a bit of mystery to it. When you first arrive, the place looks abandoned. There's a rundown shack, some old boats, and a generator hidden away. Once you fire up that generator, though, you don't just unlock the settlement. You unleash a swarm of mirelurks, capped up with a queen that you have to take down in order to claim your own island. It's one of the most memorable settlement unlock moments in the entire game. And once you win that fight, the entire island becomes yours. From a building perspective, Spectacle Island's kinda ridiculous. It's absolutely massive, easily the largest building space I've seen in Fallout 4, full of beaches, forests, cliffs, and open flats to work with. You're completely surrounded by water too, which means you can generate more than enough resources to keep a huge population thriving. If you want a fortress, you can build it. Want a full-blown city? You do you, boo-boo. Want to flatten the whole place with mods and create a mega project that looks like something out of a different game? It's basically begging for it. Go for it. The isolation is also part of the charm. Unlike most other settlements that are tucked into neighborhoods or along major roads, Spectacle Island feels like your own private kingdom. You can see Boston off in the distance, but the island itself is yours. For role players, it's the ultimate start a new civilization location. For modders, it's one of the most popular canvases in the game. I've seen everything from airports to once a Fallout 3 style Vault City. I don't know who did that, but that's good for you. I want to do that too. Of course, there are some challenges. The sheer size of the island means that in vanilla, it's hard to fill it up without running headfirst into that settlement build limit. You also need to think about how you want to defend it, since attacks can come from multiple directions. But honestly, those challenges are part of the fun, right? This is one of the settlements where the game basically says, alright, let's see what you can do with your own private island. Why is it number one? It's everything I could dream of. It's the entire package. It's got a memorable unlock quest, endless space to build, and an iconic location, as well as a freedom to create something truly massive. Whether you're a casual builder just looking for a cool base, or a hardcore modder trying to push the limit of Fallout 4's engine, Spectacle Island is the ultimate playground. And there you have it, folks. My picks for the top 10 best settlements to build on in Fallout 4. Each one has its quirks, its challenges, and a little bit of lore baked in. But what makes the settlement so attractive and addictive is the building magic you can add to it. No two players are ever going to build the exact same thing, and that's why Fallout 4 is one of my favorite games. Now, these are just my favorite locations. I know you guys probably have different lists, so let me know in the comments. What's your favorite settlement to build on and why? If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification button if you want to support the channel. And I want to give a big shout out to my channel members. Channel members are amazing people who support my videos in a more personal way. And to thank them, they get unique perks like cool channel badges, emotes, early access to all my videos, as well as the ability to hang out with me on Discord. If you want to become a channel member, click the join button on any one of my videos. And be sure to check out my new Patreon, where I do additional behind the scenes footage, share tidbits about my life here in Mongolia, as well as show off content that's too hot for YouTube. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you next time.